Afternoon, intuitives. As you all know, my favorite type are ENFJs because ENFJs, they're so sweet and empathetic and understanding and goofy, and you appreciate the INFJ sense of humor, and you can cheer me up on my darkest days. ENFJs are the best at that. However, sadly, the INFJ ENFJ connection is somewhat rare because, well, ENFJs, there are not that many of you, and there's even less of us, and we tend to be hermits at times. So sadly, while that is magical, another common occurrence for an ENFJ is to be targeted by a narcissist. And I'm going to get into this video of my opinions of why ENFJs are the favorite target of the narcissist and why targeting you, it's almost like a sport for them, and things you got to be aware of. Now, specifically, I'm mainly focusing on younger ENFJs, like I would say under 30, but especially like, early mid 20s, like only out of university for a few years. Sadly, this is a pretty common occurrence for ENFJs to get into the type of relationship that I'm going to describe. I've observed it anecdotally in my life with friends and friends of friends and heard about it. So, a little advice from an INFJ, knowing what I know now that I didn't know then, and I sounded warning bells back then, but it's like, you're crazy. How can you know that that's how it's going to play out? I don't know. But did it play out like that? Absolutely, sadly. So, ENFJs, why do the narcissists love to target you? Well, narcissists love targeting empaths because they feel they can get away with more with them. An empath, especially an ENFJ, sees the best in people and wants to bring that out in them. An ENFJ is a giver. They'll give all of themselves in a relationship. Like an INFJ, a lot of them are demisexual and they don't fall in love very easily, but ENFJs love to fall in love when it's the real thing. And a narcissist, most of them are good liars and they know how to play a role and play the part of somebody that the ENFJ target would be drawn to. They try to make themselves look different, at least in the beginning, enough to get them hooked. So once that's done, the ENFJ's giving nature will give all of themselves to that person in that relationship, and the narcissist will obviously get off on that. Narcissists will love to get ENFJs to do things they're uncomfortable with, activities. It'll never be the ENFJ deciding what they do. It'll always be the narcissist. They'll be glitz and glam because narcissists love to show off how popular and successful they are. That's their crutch for a lot of them as to why people put up with them as long as they do. And they will be extremely exploitative and degrading in the bedroom in most cases. And narcissists will get off having the ENFJ do things that they are uncomfortable with, and that just turns them on even more in a very twisted, sick kind of way. So, because of your empathy, ENFJs, a lot of times you feel like you can fix this person. For a while, from what I've noticed, you believe that the lie, the role that the narcissist is trying to portray is who they really are. And if, you can show them love so deep and so pure that they'll let all the pain and the hurt go and be that good person that you believe they could be, although that good person is a lie. Who they are when nobody's watching, that's who they really are. Not the person who, likes to go plays Mr. Big Shot out at the club. This is especially true in my anecdotal experience for early to mid 20s ENFJ girls, specifically if they're just out of a long-term relationship, like someone they dated all through college and maybe even started dating before that, to be targeted by narcissistic men 10 to 15 years older, especially if these guys are successful. And one of the tactics, because ENFJs, like INFJs, we are the truly, madly, deeply love people. We're not into casual, we're not into flings, we're not into friends with benefits. Love is like an all or nothing thing for us, and sex is an expression of that connection. It's very soulful, it's it'll get its own video, but I've talked about it in other ones too, so I don't get off on too much of a tangent here. But for the narcissist, they will convince the ENFJ that they're in a relationship, but the reality is the narcissist is just using the ENFJ for a casual fling that'll last, from what I've seen, about 6 months, or I would say it's safe to assume less than a year. So, and yes, always when I turn the camera on is when my nose decides to itch, or maybe it's when I'm in the basement down here. But it's annoying. But I don't edit things out because this is raw and uncut, because I speak off the cuff. I have no script, bullet points once in a while, but a little side note. So, ENFJs, you will convince yourself of the best of this person, and sadly, it'll take you time to realize who they really are. And part of this is mainly due to the ENFJ's Achilles heel. As amazing people as they are, and I've mentioned already in this video even that they are my favorite people, they have an Achilles heel, especially the younger ones. What is that? ENFJs struggle to say no. It's a major targeting point for a narcissist. ENFJs don't like to make a scene. They like to go with the flow. They give all of themselves to people in relationships, friendships, jobs, what have you. So especially a younger ENFJ that doesn't know anything about their personality, that wants to be well liked. The ENFJs love being liked. They will struggle to say no in a situation where they're screaming inside to say no. They may even, and I've seen this, they may break down crying to try to have the person, the narcissist in this case, feel guilty about what they're asking them to do, but a narcissist usually won't. But that'll be the ENFJ's last line of defense, to try to break down and cry, but they still won't say no and do what they're told. So the narcissist will exploit them with that weakness at every chance they get. So, that is very heartbreaking when it happens. Got some memories flooding back that I rather not remember. So sadly, ENFJs, because of that nature, you become a prime target for narcissists. Narcissists are usually more extroverted, and they love, as I said, showing off their money or popularity. ENFJs are extroverts. It's, the E's for, although you're the most introverted of the extroverts. You love to be out in crowds a lot of the time as well. So it may be appealing in the beginning to be seen with somebody who's a little older and successful, because, money is seen as the most important thing in our culture anymore, at least since the boomers took over in the 80s with greed is good, Reagan, and then Clinton's like, yeah, let's be Republicans. So, that's the culture that, if you're my age, if you're 35, that's the culture you grew up in, because that's the culture that your parents' generation put into place. Deep meaning, who cares? Yeah, it's like, who cares if he's a monster, as long as he's got the money. Yeah. So sadly, ENFJs, you are one of the prime targets for a narcissist. How can you resist this? Well, first and foremost, whether you're dealing with a narcissist or not, learn how to say no. Set boundaries. Both INFJs and ENFJs, especially in their younger years, have trouble setting boundaries. Now, an INFJ will just, we don't care who likes us. We'll just door slam them. But ENFJs, they love true connections almost as much as INFJs do, but they tend to have a large group of acquaintances who at least respect them. And the narcissist circle is usually filled with a lot of people that enable the narcissist, especially if the narcissist is successful. There'll be a lot of people kissing the narcissist's ass because of their money and or power. And that too can be appealing to the ENFJ. Now, fortunately, the ENFJs are intuitives. And you can't silence that introverted intuition forever. Soon, because it's your secondary function instead of your primary function. But eventually, ENFJs, you will see the person for who they truly are. Your intuition will kick in, and the pieces of the puzzle will come together, and you will realize it was all a lie. You will eventually stand up for yourself. And it is, as I said before, a glorious sight to see an ENFJ stand up to a narcissist because, you know, ENFJs aren't very angry people, but when you push a sweetheart empath who's normally laughing and goofy to her breaking point and she flares up almost INFJ style rage, catches people off guard, and it's a glorious sight to see. So just remember, ENFJs, the things that I love you for, that many INFJs love you for, that are sadly rare in this world, and I view as your greatest attributes, make you a prime target for narcissists, especially in your younger years. You know, the only thing you can really do is, well, one, learn to say no as soon as you can. Know what an ENFJ is if you are one. Know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and know about narcissism. I'm hoping that the things, a lot of my anecdotal experiences of seeing this were from the 2000s. So that was before, channels like mine and much more professional, bigger, successful ones existed. What we know now about narcissistic abuse wasn't the case, 15, 20 years ago. So now that the information's out there, hopefully it's more readily available to people and they're able to spot the red flags and the signs sooner before they get sucked into a narcissistic trap. And just remember this too, ENFJs. As an INFJ who was fooled by a narcissist once, do not blame yourself for the narcissist playing you. You are the victim. They took advantage of you. It is not your fault. It's your job to figure it out, get away from them, and never let a pattern like that happen to you again. It is not your fault for what they did to you, although it is your responsibility to break off all contact with that person and expose them for who they truly are so they don't victimize other people the way they victimize you. Alright? Just a little video on that. And ENFJs. I know your intuition's not your primary function, but you should still always trust it. That voice that's telling you to stop, to stand up for yourself, to say no. Listen to it. And don't sell out your integrity, no matter how, wealthy or popular the siren's call of the narcissist is.